Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Here we are now, part 15 of this build of this lovely Sea King from Airfix. And as you can see, all the red's down. You saw that before in part 14. I did a very quick video. You can see I've gone round. I've painted in these window frames in matte black. That's what I wanted to get a rubber seal around the window. I want to see how it looks. So I thought I'd do it before I unmask it, and then I've got all that overlap I can then go into and then work out to the frame. So we'll see how it looks. Fitted these little grab handles on here, as you can see, over this window. Painted the front frames grey, so you can see they're all done now, all masked up and all painted up. So now we're ready to go. We're ready to start thinking about getting a gloss coat on and getting some decals down. You can see we've got all our antenna down here in white. I need to do some touch up. There's going to be loads of bits and pieces to touch up afterwards. These antenna back here are grey. Yeah, really pleased with how it's coming out. It's looking really nice. I really want to get these windows unmasked to see how they look, but obviously we can't until we've done our clear coats and everything. Now, funnily enough, today is the 3rd of October 2023, and a lot of people, for some reason, I don't know why, a lot of people are asking me about clear coats, and we also need to spray those windscreen wipers before we take the mask off. A lot of people are asking me about clear coats. I don't know why all of a sudden everyone wants to know about clear coats. Clear coats are basically a gloss varnish, or a clear varnish. They can be matte, semi-matte, semi-gloss or gloss. There are lots and lots of different ones. You can get lacquer ones, you can get really kind ones that won't do any damage. You get aqua gloss, you get the Tamiya. There's loads of them, and people say which is the best. You can't answer that question. It's certain. Like for this one now, you can see that this red is quite glossy. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to give this a coat of aqua gloss, because I consider aqua gloss, which is here. Mind your nose, Jess. Jess is led down here, buddy. This is aqua gloss, Alclad aqua gloss. Very hard to get hold of these days, and it's actually now what's it called? A Stand by Mig Ammo, and apparently they've bought the name and the bottles are different and everything, but basically the stuff is the same. It's very weird. You can see it's like a white colour, but it does dry clear, and you must not shake it. If you shake it, it goes matte. I've got a few bottles of it before it all went out, and so I'm really happy. I've probably got enough to last me till my wooden box time. So basically we have the Alclad 2 there, and we're going to give this a clear coat with Alclad 2 ready for decals. Now I'm thinking I'm going to add that antenna that goes in there before we do any clear coat. So we'll have a look in here and we will find our antenna, and sure enough, there it is in that box, pre-painted, ready to go. I'm not going to fit the winch because it's more delicate than a delicate thing on a delicate day in a delicate place with someone delicate. So I'm not going to fit that on, but what I am going to do is fit this. And then if it needs to be touched up, it can be. I mean, I don't mean that in a rude way, I mean the painting wise. So that's just going to sit in there like that. And as you can see now, we've got a lot of stuff on here that's just dying to be knocked off, but that's just the way it is. It seems to be the way with helicopters. The Apache's the same, the Sky Crane's the same, and now this one's like it. So I'm assuming that's got to be at a tangent to the surface. Let me just go and check my references a second. Yes, that was correct. It's all the antenna are like, they're all at a tangent to the surface, so they're all sort of square to the area they're bolted to, if you like. So that's that there. As you can see, that's a nice seamless joint, and very happy with how this is coming out. So you may not like these grey window framing, you may prefer it in red. I'll be honest, I prefer it in red. But in 1995, which is what this model is depicted, she had grey window frames. And as you can see, as I've mentioned before, when you look at the colour call-outs from Airfix, you don't know what to do, because they've got, here they're grey, here they're grey, here they're red. What do you do? So there we go. And this panel in here they've got as a glazed piece is not, it's actually metal. If you leave that clear, you're just going to see the back of the control panel behind it. So that's painted over in the grey as well. I did check, I thought maybe that should be red. These wipers have got to be painted black, so I will probably mask around there before we're finished and just spray them in black before we take the masking off. So, or even I'll brush paint them out, perhaps, I don't know. So there we go, we are coming along and we are really reaching the end now. So I am going to get this painted with a coat of aqua gloss. As you can see when you look here in the decal guide and colour callouts, there's decals everywhere. You know, we've got decals on antenna, there's decals above the window, there's decals below the window, there's decals everywhere, all over it. So we may as well just give the whole thing a coat. There's no real decals underneath. I also need to get these little panels down here done. These are in a matte yellow brown, and I will probably brush paint them in. But I think I'll get some aqua gloss down first, and then if we make a mess with brush painting, it's easy to just wipe it up and start again. I need to touch that in as well there. So yeah, all in all, it's looking good. So I'm going to get a clear coat down and let that dry, and then I'll come back and I think we'll start on some decals. We shall see. There we go, she's all done. She's got a sort of sheen to her now. It doesn't need to be like a high gloss finish. All you're trying to do is get rid of the matte finish, because when you look at a matte finish, it's kind of, under a microscope, it's almost like a load of nails sticking out. It's a very stipply finish, and you run the high risk of getting silvering. A lot of people say you don't need to clear coat before decals. I always do. It's just something I always do. Whenever I've tried it without, I get silvering, so I just do it. It's you know, it's a very thin coat of clear. It's not very thick. It pulls back. It's not going to ruin any detail. It's just there. It's just a slight sheen, as you can see, to get the decals to go down a bit easier. I mean, they're cartograph decals. They're Airfix. They're going to be wonderful. Airfix cartograph decals are some of the best in the industry. I really do like them. They are very carefully thought out, and they go down like a dream. So they're very well designed. I believe we've got a guy. There's a guy down south. I can't think of his name now. He's a friend of Moss's, and he designs all the decal sheets for Airfix, I believe. So, and he's a modeller himself, which means they're going to be great because he's a modeller. He's going to design them with a modeller's head, not a guy sat behind a desk punching things into a computer. So yeah, they're really good. So that's going to be my next stage. I'm not going to go through too much detail about decaling. In fact, I will probably come back and it will newly be done. If I have any issues, I will point them out on the way. Apparently it takes quite a while to do. I've also noticed something else I've done. I painted the rotor blades black, and they're supposed to be grey. In fact, they're two different greys. They're XF83 on the bottom, and they're XF77 on the top. So I'll have to mask off the yellow again, mask off the hub that I've already done, and then paint them again. So I thought they were black. Stupid me. So that'll be another job for tomorrow, and then they'll have to have a clear coat as well because we've got decals to go on there. Although saying that, I may mask them and paint them. We shall see. But anyway, I'll see you back for more in a second. And there we go, guys. Decals are on. As you can see, I've repainted the rotor head. I've done the underside in the light grey, as instructed by Airfix, and the upper side is done in a darker grey, as instructed by Airfix. If anyone can help me, I'm not sure what colour this in here should be. I'm guessing this is like a metallic colour. If anyone can help me, I'd be ever so grateful, please. For those of you that know, that have worked on these things, have been up there and played with them and changed rotor heads and stuff. But these decals are just the mutts nuts. I won't use the B word, but you know what I mean. It rhymes with Ollux. It starts with B and ends with Ollux. Absolutely, they are amazing. They are absolutely incredible. They're cartograph, they're Airfix, so they're beautifully designed, they're beautifully created, and they go down a dream. Let's get this rotor head off, and then I can pick the model up and show you. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think I'm going to have to go over with a pin and just pick out a couple of these rivet holes, but other than that, they've pulled down absolutely beautifully. There's a couple of errors. This one here is a complete and utter nightmare because you've got this bulge sticking out here on the side. This one just wants to wrinkle up around there, and you can see I've got a couple of lines in it which I'm hoping to hide with weathering and soot and stuff, and you can see I've tried to sand away that wrinkle there, but underneath it is white paint, so I might just see if I can fade that in with some XF19 or something. I've got a feeling, just have a let's just do this together. XF19, no, it's too light. Maybe XF54. XF54, that's very close. We should have to see. I want to sort of see if I can get rid of that and maybe sand out these wrinkles. I mean, it was wrinkled up like an old tea bag, and with the micro set and sole, it has actually pulled it down beautifully, but you can still see there are wrinkles in it. It's a hell of a curvature to go around there. I tried warming it up and everything, and it just did not want to go. This side, as you can see, it's all pulled down beautifully into the rivets and everything. At the moment, it's got a bit of a gloss sheen on it. I've cut out the footsteps here. I need to spray them in black. Same on this side. What I did was let the decal just sort of go off, just sort of for an hour, and then just stuck a knife in it and then poked it around with a cocktail stick and some micro set and sole, and then that's all pulled down nice and tight now into those steps. So we'll spray in there with some black, and that'll be that. I'm half tempted to kind of mask these off after it's all done and give them a spray with neat XF1 or something, so it's a bit spattery, because in real life that is like a real grip tape, sort of real rough finish on there. So we might see about doing that. I'm also tempted to try a kind of filtering system with because I'm just thinking, if this is a fairly old bird and she's been around a while, the top would all be flattened, dull and flattened by the sun, because they don't get polished, do they? So it would all be flattened, but down the sides it would be sort of degrading into improving into a more and more glossy finish going down until you get to the underneath, where it'll be all nice and not clean, but sort of unaffected paint. So I might think about doing that. But you can see we've got all the bits and pieces here ready to go on. So that's going to sit on there like that. Obviously I can't leave it on there. And then the door is going to sit on here like this. That will sit in there in its open position, like so. So that'll be cool, just like that. So you can see the door's open there, and now I've got to get the masking off. I have actually looked, I've discovered that window is not tinted. It just looks tinted when it's all shut up. But there we go. So yeah, the other thing I've done, I've put these strips on here, these decals, and I've got them just away from that red, and I've got a feeling they should be up to the red. But hey, I can either brush it in or something. It looks like it's actually a very close match indeed to that grey I've used on there, which is actually LP13, which is Imperial Japanese Navy Arsenal grey, sorry, Imperial Japanese Navy grey, and it's the Sasebo Arsenal, or XF77 is the same colour. So there we go. It's Humbrol's equivalent dark sea grey. I've also been picking the model up here, we're doing the decals, and I had some black marker on my hand, so I've got to sort of get that off of there. There's some black marker there, I've got some there as well. Maybe a tiny touch of IPA just wiped on there, we shall see. But I'll do that off camera, because I know that it'll mess up if I do it on camera. Remember as well, when you put these decals on here, they should go just over the little tie downs. So make sure you do that and get them to go in nicely on those rivets and everything. You can see here, this is where I put that window in. You can see we've got a slight bit of sinkage in there, even though I used super glue. You can see around there, just in there underneath that 23, you can see a ridge around that window. I think that'll disappear under matte varnish. There's nothing on this one at all, and there's nothing on that. There's a very slight sink on that one, so it has actually sunk even though I used super glue, so bear that in mind. So maybe sort of a double check before you prime. But over here with this decal, all I'll do, just so you know what I'll do, I'll go over with a sharp point and I'll just prick all these rivets. In fact, I'll probably just randomly go along and sort of tap a line of, rather than pick out each one, like so. And then just put some micro set and sole on there, and that'll pull all that down. So there we go. I need to do the same on this side. Obviously I didn't concentrate too hard on rubbing these numbers down. See, if you just randomly go over it, finds the rivet holes. rather than try and be precise and pick each one up. I'm only just gently tapping it, mind. I'm not banging on it or anything. There we go. Right. So I get some set and sole on there. So there we are. So oh, another thing. There's a couple of errors. The Decal callouts calls here for 144, which is the light grey patch to go on the side. Looking at my references, in 1995, this actual helicopter, they were black. So I've used 149, which is the one for this one. You can see 149 and 150 there. So I've used 150 and 149. And this little circle here, this little semicircle, that's that one down there. That one there. They are calling up 155, I think it is. I think it's 155 under there, which is actually this one here. You can see it's a semicircular shape, but it's got the door cut out of it in the middle. You can see it's got a door cut out of it, so it becomes a C rather than a complete semicircle. So that one is actually 114 for the full semicircle, and the full semicircle is correct for this period. So there we go. So I've now got to work out where the antenna line goes, because I want to get that in. I think it's going to come from here across to there, and up to there. We shall see. So we will go from there, and I will see how we get on. Okay, a couple of days later now. I've been doing a little bit of detail painting and stuff. This door is held on with blue tack, only because when I do the weathering, I want to remember to get that door as if the dirt has gone over it, the soot, while the door was closed. Note that these boxes on the front here are red, they're not white. In the Airfix callouts, you can see here they've got them in a grey colour, and they're not that colour. They're actually red. So every picture I've seen, they're red. The pitot tubes here appear to be black. Obviously the wipers appear to be black. This antenna on the front here appears to be black. These bits hanging out the bottom, they appear to be white, and he's still need to put another coat of tan on there. So yeah, we're pretty much there now. I am really struggling to finish this off because it's so like picky little tiny bits and pieces. The other thing I've noticed, this decal here is too small. It's supposed to surround that square, that red frame. Now they do actually give you 4 of the decals because there's 2 different types. In hindsight, what I would do is diagonally cut them and put one corner there and one corner there and have a gap at each corner. Too late for me, I've put them in now, so I'll leave that, and I think that area in there should be painted black. But I'll probably get some black paint in there and we'll sort that out. I've also got to sort these little areas out in here where it's undercut. I've got to get some solution in there and get them to go back. This is what I mean, it's just loads and loads of tiny little bits and pieces that have to be done, and it's sort of, I've painted the mirrors, they're done in Molotov chrome. So we've got the mirrors there so they can go on. The actual mirror themselves is black, but the shaft is grey to match the window frames. So yeah, like I say, it's lots of bits. And then it's going to be on to giving it a final coat of I think a semi-gloss clear, and then I think maybe a matte clear over the top to make it look sort of dulled by the sun from the top, and then go from there. I've also got to paint in these eyelets as well, sort of give them a metallic look, I think. So that's that with the main body of the helicopter. That can go away. So I'm now starting to look at the main rotor head, and as you can see, I've already put some masking tape on here. So with this version, you have these silver stripes. Now, Airfix give you these as decals, but I don't know if I can catch them in light, but you can see, somehow you can see here, they're basically 2 silver stripes with carafilm in between. So I'm going to see if I can paint them instead. So what I've done, I've looked at this drawing and scaled it up, and this here is 108mm long, and in reality that's 180mm long. So it's 1.666 recurring times difference. So on here, if you measure from the tip to that outer line there, it's 45, the tip to that outer line there is 74. Time those by 1.6666, and you get 75 and 123. So I've got some 10mm masking tape here, and all I'm doing is get my rule, was it 75 for the outer one. So get my bit of tape, hold the blade down, make sure you've got the upper surface facing up. So was it 75? Yeah, 75 millimeters. So hold that on there nice and square on the rule, and then put this piece of tape down, level and square with the end of the rule, just like so. Okay, and then what we want it to do is when we turn it over, we want it to perfectly line up, and that way we know it's square. And that is going to act either as my outer, see that's not quite square, I'll deal with that in a minute. And that can either act as an outer marker for your decals. You can put your decals down up to the tape, okay, or like I'm going to do, you can paint them. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I get the actual lines on there. Alright, so how have I done this? How am I going to make these stripes to replicate these decals? So as you can see, I've gone up with the tape which is marking the outside edge, and if you look on here you will see there are two bands of thin tape, and they are 0.7mm ISO micron masking tape available from these guys here. And then what I've done then, I've got, it's roughly about 3.7 millimeters the gap between them. So on this mat, 4 lots of 0.9 millimeters gives me the right width. So there's a strip in between. There's got the outer band there, then a strip of 0.7, then the one that's come from the cutting mat, then another strip of 0.7, and then another 10mm. So what we're going to do now is remove the little thin one, and that will leave us the masking for the stripes, as you can see. So we just take away that little thin band of tape, and there you can see we have our masking then for us. So we just basically spray them in silver and that's it, job done. And obviously we will get some wider tape and cover these areas, because the silver is a nightmare for overspray and stuff, and it will stick out like a sore thumb. So I've just got another 4 to do, and then we'll get some paint down. Right, so we've got the everything masked up. You can hardly see it on the yellow. I should have used the blue masking tape that Moss has sent me, but I keep forgetting I've got it. So we've got the masking done, the stripes are all ready to spray. I'm hoping they're going to come out okay. We shall see. I think it'll look better than the decals anyway. So, got a big mark on my glasses there. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to spray these. I'm using Tamiya LP72 mica silver. The reason I'm using this, it's a very, if you're after a silver, because as we all know, silver paints can be quite grainy. If you're after a silver paint that's very, fine, this is brilliant. Look, you can see how fine it sprays. It's hardly even colouring that paper. Oh, and by the way, somebody asked me, why on earth would you use your colour guide as your painting mat? This isn't the version I'm doing. It's basically a piece of paper. It's useless to me. So there we go. So what I'm going to do is just dust this on very lightly. Remember, when we've got masking involved, we keep everything very light and dry. We don't want anything wicking under the masking tape. I'm going to make sure we get the leading and the trailing edges. Go into this one, keep it nice and dry. And also then, if you do keep it nice and dry and you don't get it all wet and everything, you don't get any big edges building up, you get a nice soft edge. There we go. One last little bit, and then I'll go over to the booth, because this is Tamiya LP paint, and it's not good to be spraying this without extraction. Yeah, keep that nice and dusted on. It's a lot of work to avoid using the transfers. I may have been more tempted to use the decals if they'd made them so they were one piece wrapped round and then cut the back off, but because they've made them two pieces, you've got to get both of them dead square and they've got to meet up, and they're going to overlap, and it's, yeah, I would much rather have had them do as a wrap round. Which is my first criticism of these decals. So that's the upper side done. So now we can move on to the lower side, and then we'll see what it looks like when it's unmasked. Okay, so airbrush is all cleaned up, ready to go. So let's have a look at seeing how some of this looks. We need to be careful not to snap these blades. I also need to be careful not to have silver paint on my fingers because that's going to deposit itself everywhere. Silver is a nightmare. If you're dry brushing, you need to be mega dry on the brush because it spreads like wildfire. There's a little piece there. Let's get my tweezers, just lift this up here. They can come off there like so. And I think I will give these a satin coat just to seal everything in, remove any little steps we may have. But I'm only going to unmask one and we'll see how it looks. And hopefully it'll look good. Keep these little bits of masking tape for holding stuff together if you're building and stuff like that. Or over masking, you know, the not the tight up to the edge masking, but the bit around the edge, like I've done here with the 1 inch wide stuff. Get under here, get under there, get under there, and get under there. Right. So now we'll get to see how this really is going to look. And there we are. So you can see those bands on there now, and I think we can agree they look a lot better than any decals we're ever going to look. Yeah. So I'll get the rest of this unmasked and then I'll come back and see how it looks. Okay, so we can basically get this pretty much finished now, and we'll call it a day for the video because I'm asking the question. I want to know what colour is that there. Okay, I need to know before I can carry on and get it all clear coated and everything. So what I'm going to do for now is get some greeblies on here. So we've got this little light that goes next to the winch. So what I'm going to do here is put some cement in the hole. Okay, put a drop of cement in that hole there, and then fit this light. It's a very nice fit into there, just like so. I've got it upside down. Here we go. So that's gone in like that. Okay, it's probably in a bit too far, but I'd rather have it in too far than have it sticking out and get it knocked off. So that's already painted silver, it's a clear part, so when that's dry I'll go over the brush and brush that in. Now we've got the winch here. This has got a decal on it already. This is going to be a bit of a nightmare to fit, I think. So that's going to go into there, that's going to go into there. Okay, there's a hole there. I just want to come out that hole now. Come on, come out without breaking, please. There we go. Ugh, so fragile that. So there's a hole here, which is covered by a decal. So what I'm going to do is get extra thin, which works wonders with making decals go back. Some on there, get some on there, and that should make them go back in nice and tight. So now we can come along with our winch and shove that in there just like so, and it's fitting surprisingly well. What I'm going to do here is I'm only going to glue the bottom two units. Can I please have some glue on the brush without having a gallon on the brush? It's either a gallon or nothing with this bloody thing. So So that's our winch fitted in. Now I'm only going to glue the bottom so that it can take being knocked without snapping off. So that's that. Now we've got this little thing here, whatever that is. That's going to go in there. Like so. Come on. And that feels like that hole is a bit tight. What I'll do is I will just shove my cocktail stick in it because it's probably just a build-up of paint. There we go, that's better. So that's going to go in there like so. Just get that to settle down. Like that, that's that. And then we can pop the tail wheel in. I think this will go in without any glue. Probably scratch the paint now. There we go, there's our tail wheel gone in, so that's lovely. It's not flat spotted or anything, so it doesn't need to be glued. And then we've got our main wheels here which can go on, and they fit like a prick in a top hat, unfortunately. So you can see on there, they fit on, and then they're really wobbly, which is a shame. So I think what I might do with them, I think this will actually stand up upside down. Yes, it will. So I think what I'll do with these is get the Tamiya white glue. Be careful of the masses of glue on the shaft that want to drip off. We'll stick that on there, like so. Stick that on there. The reason I'm using the white glue is it will stay soft for a little while and allow me to get everything all squared up to make sure the wheels are vertical and pointing forward. I hadn't noticed they were like a prick in a top hat, or I would have done something about it. I would have sorted the wheels. I would have plugged the wheels and then re-drilled them smaller before they were painted. So just first of all going to concentrate here on having them looking like they're both, or sorry, all four are facing forward. And then we can pick up the model and look at it front on. Make sure we don't have any induced camber on there. So there we go. Yeah, it's not dry enough to stand on the wheels yet. So I'm going to let that dry a bit. I think we'll stand that over there on its roof. Let that sort of dry off a bit. It is starting to look bloody lovely though, isn't it? Look at that. It really is starting to look like a Sea King now. What a difference they make. There we go. So there we are. Another thing, guys, have a look at this model. I've looked at hundreds of pictures for my research, and I was going to do the legs silver and the wheels silver, but they're actually grey. This is all grey back here, and as I say, you've got these white antennas all under here, and then you've got these black pitot tubes, and it all depends on the period you're building. I've gone for 1995, which is what they say in the instructions, and they do seem to change throughout the time. I also wanted to show you here on the rotor head, I've done the black bits of black painting. You've got these, I'm not even sure if you're going to see down in there, you've got these rubber gaiters down in here, and they are painted black, and then you've got those rubber buffers there, they're painted black, and then you've got these actuators here, aluminium, they're painted all Viejo brush on paint, and then it's had a dry brush with some silver. So with my dry brush I have Mr. Colour Super Metallics in the brush. It just stays in there forever, and it's just very light dry brushing just to add a bit of metallic look to things. But I don't understand, again in the instructions they're telling you to paint these arms and everything 125, which is like a grey colour, but then in the instructions they tell you, in the colour call up they tell you to paint it royal blue, so who knows. And I have had a look at the references, and it does look like this whole area up to the edge here is actually the colour of the blade, so bear that in mind. So there we are. So that rotor red's looking lovely, especially for a 48 scale. And I think what I will do actually is get down my... Somebody did actually point out that this rear rotor head, there are colour guides on so there's like black, white, green, blue, whatever, but they're tiny. I'm not going to bother painting them in, but thank you for telling me anyway. So I'm just going to give this a gentle dry brush in. As you can see, it makes hardly any difference at all, but subtlety is key. And then when it gets a wash, the dry brushing will really pop. But before it gets a wash, it will get a clear coat. So there we go, there's our tail rotor done. Happy with that. So we are pretty much, other than gluing the doors on, which I'm not going to do until I finish, we've got the doors here. They're definitely going to get broken off during the weathering process, whatever. So they're done. So they're ready to be glued on. There's two. We've got the heat shield, the thing here, which is going to go on. I'm not putting that on yet because I want to get in and do some work with the engine intakes, I think. And that is it. Our actual pot of parts is now empty, other than these two extra antennae that I don't need. And this pot here, this is full of all the parts we don't use on this version, and there's also many parts in there which you don't use on any version. And then we've also got some clear parts left over. We've got a 5-bladed tail rotor, which is dead handy. We've got some different main rotor blades, and then a few little greeblies. Oh, I haven't done the mirrors, have I? I haven't done the mirrors yet. Let's get those mirrors glued on and painted. There we go. We are pretty much done. The one thing I have forgotten to show you is these two bits here. And these are the clear lights, one for underneath and one for on the tail back here. And they're basically painted with silver underneath, and then I've gone over with clear red on the top, so they're all ready to go. So they can go on after after we've given it a satin varnish, done the flat varnish on the top, I think. So yeah, basically we are pretty much done, other than the doors obviously. But I've gone round, I've touched in these tie downs, put the black in behind them, painted the grey over the decal there. So now we've got to get the inside of the exhaust done, but I'm going to be sooting this up, so we'll be doing that afterwards. But you can see there we've got the tail rotor on, all looking lovely. We've got the main rotor on with its silver stripes and everything, and really looking like a Sea King. Very impressive model, I must be honest. It's lovely. A couple of little foibles, as I pointed out along the way, but I think a lot of that's probably down to quality control in India rather than the design of the kit, because I was speaking to someone else and they said these sponsons literally fell together on their kit, so you saw me struggle with them. So anyway, there we go. So that's that. I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm going to go away now and give this a semi-gloss clear coat just to seal everything in. The reason I do that, in case you're wondering, is when you've got decals like here, we've got the decal on here, the 23. If I put a wash on here, it will pick up on the edge of the decal, because the decal obviously has carrier film, so it'll pick up on the edge of there. I've also got to go around and just quickly check all our decals have gone into all our rivet holes and everything before we do a clear coat. But no, I mean, really over the moon with how that's looking. Really is very nice. We've got the light painted in the grey. I've got the mirrors painted, the actual mirrors themselves, as you can see there. The mirrors are black and the stems are grey to go in with the window frames. So yeah, I'm going to have to keep an eye on these wheels to make sure they stay vertical and everything. But that's my problem, not yours. So once we got that done, we'll come back, we'll do some weathering, get some nice soot going down it. We can unmask it and basically go from there, give it a wash, do some staining, do some streaking, make it look a bit used, make it look a bit used. And I need to go over and do some research and find out about, you know, how these blades chipped, indeed what colour they were underneath. You know, were they a composite material? Were they? I'm sure they were probably aluminium at this stage, 1995. So yeah, just bits and pieces like that. But other than that, really pleased with it. Really happy with how she's come out, and with all these tinted windows and everything. I think she's going to look absolutely stunning. But, yeah, very happy. Very happy indeed. Very nice. Very lovely. I've got to go over that tan again as well before I do anything else. So I'll do that next. So there we go. So thank you for watching. As I say, the big question, what colour is that there? If you can please help me, I'd be grateful. And then I can get that painted, and we can start on the weathering. But as I say, in the meantime, I'm going to give it a clear coat to seal everything in, and then we'll go from there. So thank you for watching. Bye for now. I'll see you for part 16, which will be up quite soon, as soon as I got an answer to that there. See you soon. Bye.